Hey, I'm actually going to throw you a curveball right now, Nick, because we'll get to baseball. We'll get to baseball. There's a lot to get to baseball. But it was just announced today officially, because there was the Board of Regents vote last week. It was just announced officially today that Nebraska Athletics partnering with Aramark Sports Plus Entertainment for game day concessions. There's going to be facility improvements, alcohol sales, and as part of the release, they're expected to keep local fan favorites. And this is at Memorial Stadium, Devaney Sports Center, and other university-operated athletic venues. So that's not Pinnacle Bank Arena, and that's not Haymarket Park.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the places that have already had alcohol. Those are the places that have already had kind of the bigger concessions operations, because they're partnerships with what you have at Haymarket Park and the Salt Dogs ownership and what you have at Pinnacle Bank Arena in the city. There's always those conversations. But Nick, when you look at this and upgrades at Memorial Stadium, so there's supposed to be more offerings and it's supposed to move quicker. And I think things did move quicker when you went to cashless concessions.
Yep.
I think a lot of people agree with that. You also saw a lot more money generated that way. And now potentially, and no, I won't even say potentially, this will happen, is that there will be alcohol sales there and at the Devaney Center for volleyball, track and field, wrestling, gymnastics. I don't know if they'll have alcohol at swimming and diving, but hey, whatever gets you in there.
Why not?
I definitely wanted it at bowling. Bowling feels like one that we should all have pizza anyway.
I need a pitcher of beer during bowling. Whether if I'm watching it or if I'm actually bowling, I got to have a pitcher of beer and some wings.
I think I've joked with some people that I don't smoke, but that feels like one, even if we're there as media, like we need a pizza and just like a smoking section.
Just a heater dangling from our lips. We're not even actually smoking, but you just got to have a heater there. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, there's a lot of changes coming to what does game day concessions feel like for Husker fans in 2025. What are your thoughts?
It's modern and I love it. I went to a couple of the baseball games last year when they just introduced the beer options at Haymarket Park, and a lot of us had already been treated to that when we would go to a Salt Dog game. So that to me was very seamless. I just think that this is a modern way of doing business. This is a revenue stream that everybody else in college athletics is taking advantage of. And we just spent 10 minutes talking about how you increase your revenue, how you stay in good financial standing so you can support your student athletes. This is one of those areas where, as much as Nebraska has been so ahead of everything that's come with NIL, and I'm very confident with revenue sharing that they have a solid plan. This is the one area that they've been behind on, and we know why. We know that the local politics behind it, on why they didn't want to do it. It wasn't that Nebraska couldn't do it. It was the resistance from the generations of fan bases, and of course Tom Osborne and some of his wishes. And so you're trying to make both sides as happy as you can. I think we finally got to that point of, you're missing out on so much money by not doing this. So that modern element to a stadium that's just isn't modern, I think is going to give it a little bit of that feel. You mentioned the cashless option now that Nebraska provides, or I should say just going cashless, period. That was one of those things where everyone was curious about the entire wireless system, and if that was just going to come crumbling down and no one was going to be able to get alcohol, or get their concessions. But hey, it all worked out, and you're right. It moves things along a lot quicker. There's so much about this to me over the last couple of years that had made sense. In Aramark, look, I don't know about you. Anytime I've gone to Kauffman Stadium, Aramark was always one of those staples. You remember always seeing, if you'd get the program, there was always the big Aramark ad with a guy eating a huge hot dog and everything. But the fact that they can also help with the infrastructure too, that you can work with them on, well, we don't just have to have beer troughs. You can actually build an infrastructure where you can put in lines, you can have taps. I think it's great, because the one thing I do know about Nebraska is, and it was good to hear that they're still going to have a lot of the local fanfares, but when it comes to beverages and it comes to alcoholic beverages too, I think there is a tremendous local flavor when it comes to craft beer. And I think being able to institute, like we've seen at the baseball games too, where you have a lot of local options, I think that's great, because the one thing that we know, okay, if they're going to finally you avoid the resistance of, we don't want to have alcohol. We never have. Now that you have it, the one thing we know that the Nebraska fan base, no matter what generation you're in, they will support the local product too. So I think this is a huge win for a lot of those local breweries as well that will have a place in Memorial Stadium and at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. All of those things, to me, I think are a huge win. We knew it was coming. It's just great to see that it's finalized. And now you get an idea of how it might look going forward for Nebraska athletics.
Yeah, we're going to have to, they said local fan favorite, so we're going to have to see what that means specifically for Valentino's, for Runza, and for Fairbury hot dogs. We're going to have to see what those look like, because likely Aramark is going to have to work out a deal with each of them, as opposed to, you're already major sponsors with the university, so come out here and fire the hot dog gun, do the Der Wiener Schlinger, all of those things.